New census numbers could end up costing several Midwest states seats in Congress. The latest state population tallies are due out in December. Some states' losses will be other states' gains. So what will the shift mean for Congress and the country as a whole? Joining me now in New York is New Jersey Democrat Congressman Frank Pallone, and from Dallas, Texas Republican Congressman Michael Burgess. Thank you very much for talking to us, gentlemen.
Good to be with you, Julie.
All right, Congressman Burgess, let me ask you first. You know, we want to lay out the expected winners and the expected losers, first of all, and have you react. The winners: Arizona, Florida, Georgia, Nevada, South Carolina, Texas, Utah, and Washington. And the likely losers: Louisiana, Massachusetts, New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania, and Illinois, Iowa, Michigan, and Ohio rather. Now, Ohio is in fact predicted by two analysts to lose 2 House seats. So what could the geographic divide mean for the political divide?
I think from the standpoint of Texas, what you see is people voting with their feet. Although the recession has been hard here too, it has not been as hard as some other locations, and we've been very fortunate to keep an unemployment rate close to 8% rather than the nearly 10% that's present nationally and even higher in some other locations. We have no state income tax, so the cost of starting a business is low and is kept low. Liability is kept under control, and it's all in all a very agreeable place to live. Something my parents decided well over 60 years ago when they moved here, and I've raised my family here. You see many people moving to the area literally on a daily basis. I've got the 10th largest congressional district in the country, and that's for a reason, not because of their congressman, but because Texas is such a great place to live.
All right. Well, yeah, I've heard that too. Congressman Pallone, you know, let me ask you in decades past, our political makeup included liberal Republicans in northeastern and midwestern states, conservative Democrats in southern states. And then since the Southern strategy took place and Dixiecrats moved into the Republican Party and politicians in the North have become increasingly Democratic, I guess we're seeing a much bigger correlation between geography and political lean. So how could this shift in House seats affect that?
I think it's too early to tell because, you know, first of all, we have to see when the numbers come out, which I guess are not until the end of December officially, and also see what happens in the elections this November. I mean, I think that population shifts have to do with a lot of things. I mean, certainly, you know, it's a lot of people like to move to warmer areas where there's more open space. You know, I think those may be more factors than anything else. But frankly, I think that the Democrats are going to hold their own, and I don't think the redistricting, you know, will necessarily favor Democrats or Republicans until we see what the numbers are and how the states are affected.
And the loss of population means loss of House seats. Congressman Burgess, your reaction?
Well, look, it's not just because it's warmer in Texas, it's because we have no state income tax. It's because we are a right-to-work state. People see the opportunity. They see the ability, still see the ability of fulfilling the American dream, and Texas is a place where you can still do that. Yeah, we got wide open spaces. Yeah, the stars at night are big and bright. But honestly, there are many other reasons why Texas is coming out ahead. Lack of a state income tax, a sensible liability climate, and a right-to-work state all combined to make this an ideal place to move and start a business.
You know, what could the outcome of the fall elections, I guess, mean for the Midwestern states? Because it seems that the Midwest has sort of lost a lot of its political power. Politicians, you know, are essentially losing power in the Midwest. I guess the question is, why? Congressman Burgess?
Well, I don't know that I would see it quite like that. I mean, you obviously have seen the country grow, and the southern part and the western part of the country has grown more relative than other parts. Texas, representing both the west and the south, perhaps has been a double beneficiary. But I think what's happened in Louisiana is perhaps an outlier as a consequence of Hurricane Katrina, and probably the next census, 10 years time, will show them make up some of the ground they've lost. But I don't. You know, it's hard to say that it's a fundamental political shift, but clearly Texas tends to be a more conservative state than some other areas, and the fact that Texas will gain 3 to 4 representatives, an increase in electoral votes, all of that does line up more on the conservative side of the agenda.
You know, the Midwest, according to some political analysts, Congressman Pallone, the Midwest is expected to hold a little more than 1/5 of the seats. And they say that by the time a new Congress arrives in 2013, that'll be the case. That exemplifying what I'm talking about regarding the loss of power in the Midwest, and how critical is the Midwest when it comes to retaining the House?
Well, I think that you're right when you say that if a state loses a seat, obviously they lose political clout. It means less money. It means a lot of things that are not necessarily good. But I think that the bottom line is, if you look at it from a partisan point of view, I think it's much too early to tell what this means. I mean, I think that the Democratic agenda appeals. I think we're going to do well this November. And after this November is over, and then you'll have a better idea about, what partisan shift results from the census. I think right now it's sort of premature to suggest that it means much in terms of which party controls the House or the Senate, or how many seats one party or the other gains.
Yeah, there's not much time left, though, Congressman Burgess. I mean, what could the loss of some seats in some states, the gain of some seats in others mean, do you believe, for Congress and our political future?
Well, look, I think Frank's wrong that the Democratic agenda has not been driving this. The Democratic agenda is going to cause them to lose seats in the Midwest, the Northeast, and, yes, the South and the West. The health care bill, the cap and trade bill, all of these things taken together, people are simply aghast at what has been happening in Washington, D.C. They didn't vote for a 10% unemployment rate. They didn't vote for these kinds of deficits that we're running. What they voted for was change, but the kind of change they got, they didn't like. Now they're looking to move more toward the center, and I think you're going to see that reflected in the elections that are coming up.
All right, Congressman Burgess, thank you. Congressman Pallone, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
And remember, you can get nonstop updates